A pediatric nurse, a patsy, lured through a sex fetish site. You heard me right, through a sex fetish site, and an au pair lover caught in the middle of this tangled web. What started as an affair spiraled into a double murder, with prosecutors saying it was premeditated. The defense, on the other hand, insisting it was self defense. The question now is who's really at fault, and how will this play out in the court of law?
Welcome to the global phenomenon, Surviving the Survivor. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning journalist, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. It is a show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. As you know, we cover trending criminal cases, and since August 19th, we have been on the Dan Markel murder, covering the Donna Adelson case about as extensively as one can cover something, considering today is September 26th. And as I said, we started August 19th. All you have to do is do the math to realize how intensely we've covered Donna Adelson. But today we go from a murder for hire plot to a bizarre love triangle. And guess what? Guess what, everybody? They're back. The band is back together. If this was AC/DC, I don't even know who would be who, but I'm going to introduce them, and I have to introduce them in this order because one of the guests has OCD and must be on the bottom here. So without further ado, retired FBI agent Scott Duffey. Everyone has been asking, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Here they are. Phil Waters, the legendary homicide detective, and yet again, Jay King here. New name to us, saying a new case to get obsessed with. Beach Bum asking the rhetorical question, Scott and Phil? And then just two comments below, Superstar, Phil and Scott? And then Phil and Scott, and then Rachel D. The boys are back in town. Phil Waters, you're the patriarch of this trio, I have to say. The uncle to us. How has people thought that the band is broken up, that we're all in our solo careers, but I explained to them it is, these are men with lives and Ferraris and places to go, things to do, people to see. So we'll do this as long as these gentlemen are willing to do it. And we're sort of trying to work on getting some stuff done that maybe you can come visit us somewhere down the road if that's not cryptic enough. But Phil Waters, how is the Big Island, man? It has flown by, this visit of yours, this stay.
Oh, it's been great. Been wonderful as always, and we have been since our departure. So yeah, we've been pretty busy. My bride and I went on a Alaska cruise, and with Zach, who's a Christian, kind of a rock and roll Eagles, Bob Seger kind of vibe, singer, performer, and songwriter. So we went on a cruise with him in Alaska, which was just an awesome week. I was telling Scott about it. We had every morning that we weren't in some port someplace, we had a retired major league umpire who held the devotionals in the morning, and that was pretty cool. And he had a couple of his retired buddies with him, and it was just a great time of fellowship. And I managed to get an official Major League Baseball umpire's cap, and the three of them autographed it. So it was pretty cool. So we had a lot of fun.
That's amazing. You know what? I don't know, like 3 years ago, I wanted one of those hats, and I shopped around. They're much harder. I don't know why. Is the umpire hat's the one with just the logo, like the MLB logo?
Yeah,
is that it?
It's black. Yeah.
And I went to shop around. They're harder than you can watch, everyone's going to be like, they just Googled it and they'll send me links. But for me, it was hard to find. Tayo Toys here. I'm watching from my Ferrari 348. He must have a monitor in the front seat. Phil, does your Ferrari have a television inside of it?
No, there's no room for a Well, as a matter of fact, stand by.
He's cool. While we're standing by, Scott Duffey. Again, I don't want you to get ratioed out. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's cool, man. Oh,
there it is.
That's awesome.
So that's Ted Barrett and the other guy, they call him JC or KC. Kenny Doug, I think was his name, and the other guy was Paul. But yeah, so this was awesome, and these guys it was a pretty cool, just a good vibe, cool thing going on. Then there were, music, a concert. There were 2 or 3 kind of mini concerts, and they even did a chef thing because Zach Williams likes to cook. So it was a blast, man.
That's cool. How's Alaska, by the way? That's one place I want to check out. Although it's a little scary. Like, I feel like there's a lot of true crime perpetrators of true crime who are hiding out in Alaska. I feel like.
Well, I tell you what. I've always remembered the pictures you see in school where you have Alaska placed over the United States, and it like covers almost the entire United States. But it's huge. We went to a state park in I think we were in Ketchikan, and that park alone is 17 million acres.
Jeez.
So it's an unbelievable place, but it's the other side of the same coin that Hawaii is on. It's just a magnificent, God's creation, His handiwork. It's an amazing, amazing place. And we saw a couple of bears in a stream full of salmon, and I managed to get them on videotape. One of the bears, when they saw us, I mean, we were like right there. I mean, it was incredible. And one of the bears starts running toward the tree line, but he stops long enough to dip his head in the water and pulls up this huge freaking salmon and carries it. This is a true story. And I've got it on video. It's amazing.
I think you sent Scott and I a picture, a still photo.
Did I send it to you? Yeah. So it was incredible. And then we saw a bald eagle, and that was awesome. So it was just a really great place. And we were in Juneau and Ketchikan and Icy Strait Point, and then we stopped over in Canada, at Victoria, British Columbia. So that was pretty cool as well. And Sitka, went to Sitka, and I picked up an ulu knife, which is a really unique tool. It's used as a tool, and the world record is they use it to fillet on salmon primarily, and this thing is shot. I mean, it is like, if it gets too close to you, it could cut you.
Let me ask you, how did you get that back to Hawaii, if I may ask?
I just packed it in the luggage.
I've
got it over there too. It's just it's this really cool knife, and it's made out of this one is made out of a caribou antler. So they're very unique. But the record apparently on taking care of a salmon is like 20 seconds. They like, So cool. Done. And then a couple of weeks ago, we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was inducted into my high school Hall of Fame.
Mazel tov. That's amazing. That's amazing. And
that was pretty weird. That was pretty weird. That was totally unexpected.
Is that for being a legendary homicide detective, or is that for wrestling? What is that for?
Well, that was funny that you say wrestling because they also inducted a wrestling team from Hale,
Hmm.
1985. But there were several inductees. It was from all years. There were some from the 60s. I was, there for 74. And then there were some others. So the wrestling team was 85. But it was just it was kind of they've got a committee there, and they brought this Hall of Fame thing back, and I got a phone call and was told that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and could I make it? And I said, sure, we'll be there. And of course, I told my, well, the induction was on Friday at the school at Nathan Hale High School, and they had all the juniors and seniors in there in the assembly, and then the leadership of the students in there. And then each one of us had to get up and give a speech, of course. And they wanted us to talk about what do we know now that we wish we knew then. And I said, well, I really couldn't think of anything, because if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have had much fun then. So I went on to talk about the three things that I had learned since I graduated. So that was pretty cool. And then the Saturday night was a banquet with the Alumni Association, and I think 175 people showed up for that. The principal of the school was there.
You need to save those 3 lessons. I want those for the end of the show, Phil.
Well, it would, it would take a while to go through them, but
we'll get an abbreviated version. But Duffy, I can't get one thing off my mind. Since Bill Waters just mentioned it, have you ever wrestled a bear, Scott Duffy? Like, do you think that you could take a bear in the woods, Scott Duffy?
I do not. Never have. I don't anticipate.
Even when you were an FBI agent, you don't think you could wrestle a bear? The height of your no. Okay. Scott Duffy,
we saw guys in Alaska with the lumberjack guys. That was pretty interesting. That was pretty cool.
Like the real lumberjack, yeah. Sounds like
these guys are real dudes. I mean, it was pretty amazing. But,
do they wear plaid shirts?
Cool.
Do they actually wear real plaid shirts like Paul Bunyan?
Oh yeah, it was all the lumberjack. Yeah, I mean, what you know lumberjacks as, but these guys were. I mean, it was crazy the stuff they were doing with chainsaws and climbing poles and axes and wow.
Yeah. By the way, this is true. There is a fat. I read about this. A fat bear contest going on in Alaska right now, which I did actually read about. Shout out to Julie Frew, our mod. Scott Duffy, you've had an exciting summer. I mean, number one, you're living in the Commonwealth of PA where something's always going on, but people don't know this, and I think now it's an open secret. You have an HBO show that you helped put out there. What is it? And I'm saving it up because I binge shows, so I can't just watch one episode. It's like Lay's potato chips. I can't have just one. What is the show that you helped put together with TV Magic and that you're the brains behind?
Yeah, right. The show's called Task, and it's a HBO Max show. 3 episodes have already aired. It's Sunday night, 9:00 Eastern time. So it's been a couple of years in the making. Brad Inglesby is the everything of the show. He's the creator, the brains, the writer. And so I got to meet him, and then he brought me on the show to do some consulting for the FBI characters and the FBI way, and it was nice. It was a good experience and fantastic to meet.
And you're bearing the lead. Mark Ruffalo, the big actor, is the big lead, and I bet you he wanted to be like you. And not the other way around, right? Like he was he kissing your ass as a FBI agent? Was he asking a lot of questions?
Mark is he studies people, so he would ask the question, and then he would run, do the, whatever scene he was doing, and then he would come back and say, was that on? Was it okay? And I think the character ultimately is a simple character who goes through a lot in life. So he's done a pretty damn good job. Yeah, it was just a fun experience. Amazing to see people that you see from afar and you see on screen, and then to be with them on a daily basis and see a whole nother side of him. What fantastic.
Yeah. And we're going to get into the story, I promise. If you guys are new to Fridays with Bill and Scott, we have a tendency to, go off the rails a little bit. We'll get to the story in just 1 second. But I got to ask you, Scott Duffey, a lot of times I will lay in bed and I'll watch a show and I'll say, what are they even getting paid for? I could do that. They're just reading lines and pretending to be somebody. But did you have a new appreciation for a guy like Ruffalo after watching a show like this? Does he transform into an actual FBI agent?
Yeah, he's just a phenomenal actor. And just I had a private meeting with him on day one of the show, and then he's like, let's we'll be seeing a lot of each other. So it was a pretty, it's amazing how many hours absolutely go into it's typically it's 12, 13 hours a day. And you may just get through a handful of lines. It's all the different angles that they're taking and making sure the set is right. And yeah, it's pretty good.
If I could find an MLB umpire hat online and I sent it to you, you think you could get Ruffalo to sign it during season 2 if it happens?
If you want him to sign it, I can. If you really want an MLB umpire hat, I'll get you one.
You know who could get us one? PSS, the Philadelphia shoulder surgeon, who I don't see here. But let's get into this story. So Phil and Scott, while they're shooting Hollywood shows and going to Alaska, what they are really best at is figuring out true crime stories, the real stuff, the stuff that happens in real life. And this one is a wild story. I'm planning to go to this trial. This happened in Fairfax, Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C. The people in the story, you've got Christine Banfield, the 37-year-old wife to Brendan Banfield, the husband, who's 39. He happens to be an IRS law enforcement agent. And back in 2023, I believe it is, she, the wife, ends up dead along with another guy named Joseph Ryan. And Phil Waters, in this particular case, there's a love triangle of sorts going on. So this husband, Brendan Banfield, I've got some video clips. He brings in an au pair. There we go. So you've got the au pair. Her name is Juliana Margalês. She's Brazilian. She's the blonde. And then you've got Brendan Banfield next to her. And then you've got the wife, looks like a sweet woman, no longer with us. And then a guy named Joseph Ryan. And essentially, Phil, what they do is concoct, really, the guy here, Brendan Banfield, concocts this plan. He says he wants to, quote unquote, get rid of his wife, yet another person that can't get a divorce. So he meets the au pair. He has a 4-year-old child. They concoct some sort of zoo alibi that the nanny's got to go to the zoo, leaving this wife at home alone. And through we find out later, a fetish website, they lure this guy to come into the home and then make it seem like this guy in the bottom, Joe Ryan, is attacking the wife, and he is shot and killed. The wife is stabbed to death, I believe. And there you go. You've got a double homicide under the guise of self-defense, which is what the defense is going to try to argue. How complicated, just, on the surface, I guess, is a case like this with so many moving parts, Phil Waters?
Well, it could, I guess, as it starts out, it could appear to be complicated, but once you start establishing the affirmative links and letting the evidence lead you where it needs to be, it's going to clear up pretty quickly. So in this particular case, of course, these guys, whether it's the husband or the wife, that can't get a divorce. So the alternative is we're going to kill the other spouse, murder the other spouse. I don't quite understand that, but it just goes to the, how broken we are as a people. But in a case like this, and this one, of course, this has got a whole. I mean, this is so tawdry and disgusting. It's the basic, carnal instincts. So there's a lot of questions here that I've got. So if this getting on the bondage website to get the guy to come over, and apparently this is a thing where you can get people to do this, they will come over and da 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 da. So the questions I have is something that he and his wife were into, and it wouldn't be bizarre that somebody like this would show up? Or is this something he's into and he decided to use this strategy to get somebody in the house to set the stage that they're being attacked, and now he's there to defend them? The whole thing is bizarre, and I would bet that when they do the psychological autopsy on him, I would not be at all surprised if he's not getting some sort of, woody with all this stuff that he's planned going on. And then when the guy shows up and it all starts to materialize in front of him, I mean, he's getting his rocks off on this stuff. I would not be surprised. And then you got this little au pair who, I think she was charged with manslaughter, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? She
cut a plea deal. So
okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
She was charged with manslaughter. She pled to manslaughter for her testimony. Right.
And she's actually going to, from what I understand, she's going to get time served, from what I understand, which seems to be Phil Waters quite a lenient, a good deal for her. Let's put it that way.
Well, it is, but you have to consider, and this is something I've had to consider in the course of the investigation, I'm sure Scott probably has too, is that sometimes when you have somebody that's kind of in the midst of this thing, or maybe even on the periphery of it, a decision has to be made. Is this person a better suspect or a better witness? So it would go to what was her involvement in setting this up and then carrying it out, and to what extent, how deep into this was she? And evidently the prosecutors, because he's the big fish, right? He's the one that that needs to be the capital murder charge, or whatever they call it in Virginia. Mm-hmm. Because to put it in perspective, if Virginia had not done away with the death penalty in 2021, this would be a death penalty case. Mm. So that's how egregious this particular murder is. Mm. And so, once they get through, start watching these, getting on the trail, and how this thing all kind of fleshes out. And then, of course, he thinks he's a brilliant planner, so he's going to set this up, and it's going to be self-defense, supposedly. The thing is, it is too. He's like been watching television. This whole thing is too contrived to believe that this guy shows up for this purpose of the bondage stuff, and and his wife has always wanted to be raped, that kind of a thing. That's even believable, unless they've got a history of this kind of behavior. So between the married couple. So I think the guy watching too much television, he went off the rails with his planning, which makes this just so utterly bizarre. And the self-defense thing, at least what I've read about this case, is just not credible. So I can't imagine this jury buying into the self-defense thing.
Yeah. By the way, jury duty pod, Kimberly B. She lives in this area and is planning to attend the trial. It does start October 20th. She's clarifying here, and please continue to clarify. Also, if you all have interesting angles for this particular story, I'd like to dive deeper into it ahead of the trial, which does start October 20th. And I don't know that I'll be there for the entire trial, but I'll go for the first, week or so and maybe go back for closings. But she's not being given time served yet. It's on the table, but they're waiting until the trial is done. So that's kind of interesting. But Scott Duffey, let me just break down, because this is straight out of a Mark Ruffalo movie here. So you've got a website called Fet Life, which stands for fetish life, people that are into like bondage and stuff. And so the defense here is claiming that Christine, the now murdered wife, was actually into this, and digital forensics apparently discovered that she herself had initially logged into this site. I don't know if it was a one-time thing. I don't even know for sure if that is true, but that is what some forensic detective at least initially stated. But it seems like the husband, for whatever the reason, whether the wife was or not into it, attached himself to this notion. Well, I'm going to get this site, use this site as my mechanism to draw somebody in. Then I'm going to claim self-defense. I'm going to kill my wife. I'm going to kill this guy. And that's exactly what happened. Whether she was ever on this site once or not, does it even matter? Because this seems to be pretty sinister in its nature.
Yeah, and I think Phil hit it on the nose with regards to it's an extremely complicated case when you first set eyes on it and walk into it, and then realize how bizarre it is. But then you start looking at the evidence, you start doing your interviews, and then you realize, okay, this is not what it's being reported to, and ultimately these people, these husbands and even some wives, where they just go through these absolutely amazing ways to off their spouses instead of divorce, separation, or whatever. And to me,
I gotta like hold it up there, because I'm coming again off of, I don't know, 6 weeks on the Adelsons, who hired a hitman to kill the son-in-law / ex-brother-in-law. I just don't understand, Scott. I mean, especially with digital forensics today. And I to be honest, I don't understand how they could pinpoint that it was the wife who was potentially on this fetish site and not the husband posing as the wife. But that's apparently, from what the reporting I've read, that they said it was specifically the wife. I don't know how that's possible. But Scott, to Phil's point, I mean, you were in the FBI 20 something years. Phil was in the PD for 30 plus years. Is it getting worse now, do you think? Because like digital forensics is better, but I feel like we hear about these murder plots all the time.
Yeah, and it's not going to stop. I mean, it's I think fantastic for law enforcement today to have these resources that didn't exist up until a couple of decades ago. It's hard to believe that even in the digital forensic world, that it's, we're already several decades into, and they just keep getting better and better at their craft. So even, be interesting to see why they think for example, was it on her phone? Was it on a work computer? Was it on something that she only had access to? Right. And then even if it was, is it possible, because she's not with us, but he is it possible that this plan had been in place for so long and that he got her? I mean, think about it. A couple in their own walls, he directing, say, hey, let's do this. What do you think of that? And she could be, just thinking, okay, let me please my husband for a second. Is it possible that if for whatever reason they have absolute evidence that she logged in outside of him on some device that she only had access to, then I would say I could believe him directing her, knowing that this plan is a plan of his from the beginning. I mean, it is a very well thought out plan in the sense that he put a lot into it. But all these people, no matter how many times we talk about it, they may spend a considerable amount of time planning it. And I agree with Phil with regards to him and his own fantasy playing. This is something he's playing in his own head. That's more than a murder. For him, it's an absolute pleasure. So regardless of whether or not she's the first to have gone in, I could easily see him directing her to that.
Yeah. Now, Phil Waters, this is not a huge deal, but it's a twist in the plot yet again. And this is thanks to Tayo Toys, who actually we're going to post this video. He's kind enough to share it with us, so it's going to be under the video tab. But the chief prosecutor in this particular case, he's the deputy Commonwealth attorney, a guy named Eric Klingen. He was just summoned for drinking alcohol in public in the early morning hours. He was just hanging out, drinking away, public intoxication. It was 8 a.m. on August 8th. Does that, I mean, is there any impact on a criminal case when you've got a prosecutor, I guess, who likes to hit the bottle? Is that something that, like, as a former homicide detective, if this was your case, would you be concerned here?
Well, I mean, the guy's out with some friends or something, I guess, and he's
I don't think he was out with friends.
outside.
Yeah, this is 8 a.m. I think he was alone, just drinking.
Well, where was he that he was written a citation for drinking in public?
He was 8 a.m. August 8th in a parking lot, Westfield Boulevard in Centerville.
Okay.
Policeman caught him drinking inside his vehicle. They identified him as the lead prosecutor in this case. Yada yada yada. I think he was
Well,
just
okay. Well, that clarifies it a little bit. So, yeah, they got a name for that. And I would, yes, that would be a problem if I were the DA.
Mm-hmm.
And my guy is caught in his car at 8 o'clock in the morning, whoop, hitting the sauce.
Mm.
Yeah, that's an indicator. In homicide, we would call that a clue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the VDA, the elected DA, would probably be wise to replace him with another DA that has no shadow cast upon them.
Mm. Ned Smith says it best: hitting the sauce with a Woody. Two different people, but Ned Smith always cashing in on.
Well, we've all been there, right? So,
well, yeah. I was going to say something that was going to get me in trouble. By the way, if you're a woman married to a man, my suggestion is don't hire a 24-year-old au pair. That's Scott Duffey, you have 4 kids. Did you ever have a 22 or 23-year-old Brazilian au pair in the house, or no?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Okay. So, Scott Duffey, to you. So Brendan Banfield, the husband in this case, prior to his wife going on the fetish site and inviting this guy over, which is what they claim, he allegedly installed, this is normal, soundproof windows before the murder. What kind of red flag is that? As Phil says, that's probably a clue in your investigation. But when you're reading your file and you come across Anderson windows, $30,000 per window for 9-inch glass, like in a bank, does that raise suspicion?
Well, is he developing a podcast studio? Is he? And this, it's also IRS sent a lot of their employees home during COVID time, and so maybe he was just trying to conceal or seal up his space to make sure that when he's talking Social Security numbers over the phone, it's not getting out onto the street. So I see absolutely no defense in that. He's spent a lot of time and money, and it's good for him. He's definitely given the prosecution a lot to.
Yeah. By the way, here in Florida, I don't want to be unjustly accused. In Florida, if you don't have hurricane-proof windows, insurance does not cover your home. So I have to have hurricane windows, which are super expensive, by the way. But I imagine that they are, pretty soundproof. Look at Jamie from Canada. I was a 20-year-old au pair, and the wife watched me like a hawk. It was horrible. Rachel D. throwing up the red flags. Yeah. Au pairs, not the greatest idea, I guess. I have sound now of the au pair. I'm going to play it in just a moment. This is body cam footage. Kimberly B, help me out. We've always got a few experts on the case. I believe this might have been from the day of the crime. We're going to watch it in a second. But first, Phil, one of the other things that prosecutors are alleging in this case, as our investigators, coming from the homicide detective, is that the bodies were moved and smeared with blood to suggest a staging of the crime scene. That things were moved around to make it fit the narrative that it was done in self-defense. That's got to be one of the oldest tricks in the book for a homicide detective like you to know that happened. I mean, is that something that you actively look for in a case where, whether it be one body, two body, three bodies?
Well, the short answer is yes, but this I've said it before. Any homicide scene that I made, it was always allowing the scene to talk to me, and so I walk in there objective, walk in there with an open mind. And I want the scene to tell me what happened. And and over time, as you gain that experience, it's pretty amazing when you walk into a scene and you can start to see where it began, where it got to, and where it finally ended up. And so, of course, I'm sure if that's the comment from detectives, that it appeared bodies had been moved, that's easily evaluated when you have patterns of perhaps blood spatter, or you've got transfer, and the pattern of that doesn't make any sense. And then when you get down to the bodies themselves, if you've got some post-mortem lividity that indicates that the body was moved, then that's another sign that, look, because you can't deny what the body is telling you in terms of where that blood went to after that person was dead. And so if you've got places that they were laying on the floor a certain way, and then he moved them around, and you've got some lividity that would indicate that where they were initially laying, that there is no blood there. There's no pattern of blood. There's no lividity. But there is lividity in other places where it should not be, if we're looking at where the bodies are. So yeah, all of those things are a factor. It's amazing. It always amazed me over the years how those things that are not spoken in the verbal connotation, you're not being told by somebody that this is that and this is that, but you're simply looking at it, and the scene itself is speaking to you about what happened at that location. So if that's what the detectives picked up on when they got there, that's something that can be discerned, I'd say early on when they get there. If the blood smears and the blood transfers and the blood spatter and the blood evidence doesn't make any sense in the overall picture of that scene, and the way the body's positioned and so forth and so on. If it doesn't make any sense, it's like the person that commits a murder. And I had a case where that was committed a murder on his wife, killed his wife with a handgun, and then set the scene up to make it look like a suicide. And so he puts the gun sitting right in her hand. Well, that's ridiculous. I've never made a suicide scene yet where a firearm was used, where the weapon just sat in their hand. I mean, I guess it could happen because you never know where those weapons are going to go. But those types of things, and over time and experience, you start to pick up on little nuances where the scene doesn't jibe with the story you're being told by the person who reported it, which is most time going to be your suspect.
Yeah. By the way, you're not listening to a law tuber right now. You're listening to a guy that's investigated over 400. It's not a guy that sits in a chair pretending to be a lawyer. This is a guy who's actually investigated over 400 homicides who is talking to you. So, and Scott Duffey is no slouch himself, retired FBI agent. Scott Duffey, so she's become the state's witness, the au pair, this Margalesh woman. So she told Juliana Margalesh, tells prosecutors that the husband says to her, and I quote, "I'm thinking about finding a way to just get rid of her." Now, my question is, how do you know in these situations that you could trust this person to turn, state's witness and be your star witness in a case when she could have been somewhat complicit in this,
Yeah, well, I would say she is complicit in this, and hence the charge and so forth. That's the lovely things of conspiracies. He involved somebody else in his concoction, and now he's got to deal with the fallout. And so how do you do that? The defense is going to have to do everything in their power to try to destroy her as a witness. She's the absolute best witness for the prosecution, the worst witness for him. So he's going to have to make, for his defense, try to just absolutely destroy her credibility. But ultimately, if she's telling the truth, everything she's saying is going to coincide with the evidence and the story, and the jury's going to see that.
This comment brings me to perhaps my most fascinating question ever that's about to come from Violet here. Someone who's never committed or investigated, we know what that word is, thinks that they can stage a believable crime scene. Phil Waters, if I gave you a week or 1 month, could you commit the perfect murder, having been a homicide detective for 35, or you were a homicide detective for X amount of years, having been a Houston police officer for 35 plus years? Could you pull it off?
Well, I think my tendency is to plead the fifth on this question.
Let me rephrase it. Have you done that? No. How hard is it, Phil? How hard would it be?
Well, there's always something that goes wrong. And when people talk about committing the perfect murder and that kind of a thing, I guess you could say, I had cases where I knew who did it. Mm-hmm. I knew who did it. And I just did not have that one piece of evidence that I needed, that the prosecutor needed to have to charge that person and conduct and get a guilty verdict. So I guess if you want to use the word perfect, they committed as perfect a murder as you could based on the lack of evidence that we were able to obtain. But in terms of somebody planning the perfect murder, we've had cases, I think, where that has been kind of the mindset that they thought they were going to get away with it, and so forth and so on. I think, we go back to the Menendez brothers. I think those guys thought they were planning the perfect murder and they were going to have a perfect story and all that other stuff. So, you have these people that plot, if they think about it. I'm sure this guy was too. And this is a guy where I'm big in timelines, big about timelines. So you try to go back and establish the timeline for when did this thought in his head, when did that start? Can we find somebody that may give us an indication of when he actually started planning this kind of a thing? Because this is something that took a lot of planning and a lot of effort. And I mean, to the degree, to Scott's point, I agree with him. I think that, I think what's interesting about the fact that the wife only logged on one time, that to me is significant. So how does that happen? If she was that curious or she was into this, there would have been several logins by her, if they're able to prove that it was in fact her that logged in. So, and those to me, those are little mistakes. I mean, this guy, if he did find some way to get her to log in and say, hey, let's take a look at this, and she did, and they were somehow able to prove that she was the one that did in fact log into this thing, well, then my question is, why only once? I mean, she just all of a sudden logs in and this thing happens. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So, and I'd be curious to know how they know. How do they know? Because I mean, obviously if he had her password, he could log in as her. You get on these websites and people do it all the time, all day long. They're not who they say they are, blah, blah, blah. So I am curious about that part of this. But, and all these little events, they all build up. And at some point in time, I think he thought that he had put together the perfect plan because he carried it out. And he's got a Confederate here with the little au pair. And, I mean, he thinks he's got this thing rocking. I mean, I'd be curious to know her testimony is going to be very interesting. What were the promises made to her? What was it that caused her to even get involved in this thing? I mean, that's crazy. So it's going to be, when it all gets presented in court, it is going to be very interesting to see how this planning went, how she gets involved, and how it ultimately ends up in what happened. Because the sad part of this whole thing is that the guy that shows up to do the thing, I mean, look, what's this guy? I'd be interested in his background. I mean, really? He's on one of these weirdo sites and he gets hired or invited or whatever, and he shows up to do this?
Yeah. Yeah. I think he was coming.
You've got so many different angles of the wrong type of behavior going on here, and it's only going to end up the way it ended up. I mean, this thing all starts out with weirdness, and then it ends up with, this act of evil upon these two people that had no idea what was about to happen to them. So, I mean, you can't do the wrong thing the right way.
Like that. Can't do the wrong thing the right way. Scott Duffey, before we watch the video, which we're going to do in 3 seconds, someone raised an interesting point. They said that the clearance rate, meaning homicides clearing cases, is only like, I don't know if it's accurate, but they said around 55% nationwide. Does that mean that people are getting away with a lot of violent crime, Scott Duffey? Are people slipping through the cracks?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but it is a pretty high rate of not being cleared. But then you're adding the many cases that never make media or the attention of anybody, and so thereby you don't have that push. You have everyday violence within your cities, whether it be gang related or random acts of violence and shootings, and either very few witnesses, no witnesses, or just people who are not going to come forward. So you do have that which is thrown into the mix, as opposed to these type of events, these type of murders that really get the attention of the nation, and ultimately often get a fantastic law enforcement investigation. So but I would agree with that statement. I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's high.
That's interesting. Go ahead, Phil.
Let me address that real quick. When I was in homicide, the national average was around 54%. So that number is probably accurate, which would mean what? It's increased a percentage point over the last 20 years. But so that is accurate. Now at HPD homicide, when I was there, not because I was there, but when I was there in my time there for 23 years, our clearance rate in homicide a couple of years was over 90%. And we maintained well above the national average for years and years and years. So you have to remember that that's a national average. So you're balancing all the major reporting cities. And so you take Houston. I don't know what their clearance rate is at this point, but when I was there, sometimes it was over 90%. But we maintained, I would say, an average of 70% or better over the years. But then you take a city like Chicago, and I think their homicide, their clearance rate is something like 20% or lower than that.
I had the Detroit police chief on who told me that when he took over, it was 11%.
Yeah, in Detroit.
In Detroit, 11%.
Yeah, I would believe that. I would believe that. So you got to remember, this is all balancing. It's an average, so it's all balancing out. So there are some places where, in the most literal sense, yeah, there are people getting away with murder over and over and over.
By the way, it's all because of Phil. It was over 90%. Without further ado, let's watch. This is now this Margalish woman, the au pair, speaking to police via body cam. I believe, Kimberly, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is the day of the crime. So here we go. Let's see if it plays. Let's see if it plays. There we go.
I'm sorry. What's going on this morning?
I was going out.
It's okay. Take a breath. It's okay. Take a minute, okay?
We need some water.
You want to sit down somewhere?
I just need some water. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I was going out with her daughter.
Okay, yep, she's sitting over there.
And then I forgot our lunch to bring it. And I was coming back to the house to get the lunch.
Okay.
Then I saw this car, strange car. And I called her, why the car is here? I don't know who it is, but it was straight to voicemail, so I couldn't talk to her. And then I called Brendan, who's her husband.
Okay.
And then he said, wait for me, I'll go there. Don't go inside. And then he came back here.
I'm just going to hold it here. So obviously, this is the au pair, Juliana, I think Margalish. She's obviously sort of frantic and frenetic at this point. Phil Waters. I mean, these are the officers who are arriving on scene. These are, I don't think these are the homicide detectives, but this is the kind of thing that you're going to take back to the office, I assume, and you're going to, does she literally have blood on her hands? It's tough to tell. But Phil, this is the kind of thing you're going to take back to the office, I assume, and you're going to watch it several times. When you're watching it, I mean, what are some of those things that you are looking for, I guess, on on an initial watch or second watch?
Well, in my day, they had just started body cams, use of body cams. So we did, there were a couple of times where I did get the body cam because I had a res gestae statement made by one of the suspects, and it was made to the officer. So obviously I want to see that as quickly as possible. But yes, you want to see this body cam because you want to see her initial reaction to what she has reported. And my impression here is that this is real. I don't see this as acting or trying to put on a particular demeanor. I think she is in shock at what she has seen, even if she had knowledge of what the husband was going to do. Let me tell you, it's a lot different in being told that this is what we're going to do and then walking in and seeing that it's happened. So my sense of her story right now, what she's talking about, I think she's in shock. I think that, her hands are shaking. And I don't think any of this is acting. I think this is a real reaction to what she has just seen. And now later on, when you get her into the interview room, that's in preparation for the interview. This is something I'm going to want to see because it's going to give me an idea. And she may be one that I'm going to say, are you hungry? And stop by McDonald's and get her a Happy Meal or an Egg McMuffin, and then put her in the room, give her the food, and see what she does with the food. If she nibbles at it or ignores it, then I know that she is bound up inside, and we're the chances that we're going to have a relatively short interview to get to what happened, the truth about what happened, is going to be pretty good. Now, if she gets in there and gobbles that crap down like she hadn't had a meal in 2 days, then there's a problem there that this may take a little longer because they don't have any angst. They don't have anything that's built up inside of them because your body is going to do certain things when you're involved in any kind of a traumatic situation. And so, but I think the detectives with her, they've got a leg up because, again, I think she is shocked by what she saw, even if she knew what was going to happen. The reality of it has now hit her.
Scott Duffey, I never knew that a Happy Meal was such an indicator of either committing violent crime or not, but now I've learned something else from the great Phil Waters. Meanwhile, there's some people here suggesting it's tough to tell. It's also winter, hands could be cold, but if, and it's a big if she were to have blood on her hands, how big a red flag is that for you? Or is that something that you might expect at a double murder? Particularly, if one of them is stabbed, to go and see someone who's responding to this with blood on them.
Well, I guess one of the questions is, where was she? I know I had a little difficulty in understanding her, obviously coming and going, but does she ever go inside? Does she admit being inside? Obviously, then she is inside. She is doing something with either checking bodies, moving bodies, whatever it is, but if there is blood on her hands, it would beg the question. She was at the crime scene, and what is going to be her answer for being at the crime scene?
And then you got Bree. She says, I just don't do fast food for breakfast, so it might not be anything to do with the Happy Meal. All right, I'm going to keep playing this now.
Take them wherever they want, whatever their appetite is. I'm here to please.
Yeah, this is obviously, again, body cam footage. And again, if you guys have ideas specific to this case, let us know, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. I want to drill down on it ahead of the trial, which I'm planning to go to at least for the first week or so. This is the body cam footage. I'll play it out. If Phil or Scott have something, raise a hand and I'll stop it.
We went inside, and then we went upstairs first, and then I went to see what's going on, and I heard the guy was, I don't know who. I don't know what he was doing. It's spanking her. I don't know.
You was what?
It's spanking her. I heard, like, I don't know what was that. And Brendan said, police dropped the knife, because he had a knife. And then he said, drop the gun to Brendan. They were yelling. I couldn't understand. They were super fast.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. You want me to see if I can try to get you some waters? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Let me see if there's anyone. Just wait 1 minute, okay? Hey, do you guys have any bottled water I could get through a window? No. All right, thank you.
That's Brendan. And wow. See if I can take that back a hair, because it looks like he has a ton of blood on his hand. I'm going to go back a hair here. Watch him come out of the house. He walks out. His left hand is covered in blood, it looks like.
Hey, do you guys have any bottled water I could get through a window? No? All right, thank you.
Right here.
If they don't have any water, if you give me a couple minutes, I'm sure I can find someone that has some, okay?
I don't know. I'm anxious.
Okay, so you live here?
I'm Lenny. I'm a pair.
You're an au pair? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay.
There was a lot of blood. And then, where's he at?
It's okay. I know it's traumatizing. You're okay. Take a minute.
I'm dizzy.
Okay. Do you need an ambulance?
Huh?
You want to be seen by the ambulance crew?
Huh?
Do you want to be seen by the ambulance crew? No, okay.
No, I'm just...
Okay. It's okay. It's the blood rush. It's the adrenaline. Okay.
Just make sure the okay.
She's okay. She's with one of my officers.
She doesn't deserve that.
No, she doesn't. Neither do you. She's okay, though. She's safe. Okay. She's not seeing any of this. So, okay.
Yeah, she's her daughter.
Who is the gentleman that just walked out?
Huh?
Who's the gentleman that just walked out?
It's Brendan. It's her husband.
He lives here?
Yeah,
Okay.
we all live here.
Okay. So you live here as well, but you're an au pair?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
We want to see if there's more medical equipment.
Okay.
Oh, there's some right here. All right. Am I allowed to come in and grab that? All right.
Okay. So, all right. I'll ask you again in a few minutes. I'll give you a minute, okay? Okay.
yeah.
Okay. let's take a nice deep breath. Okay, go. And out. We're gonna slow your breathing. Okay. It's okay. Take a nice deep breath in. Okay. You need to slow your breathing a little bit. That's gonna help you feel better. Now, take a nice deep breath in with me.
About the blood.
Okay. I understand. Okay. You want to take a nice deep breath in with me? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
So if you need anything, we'll be here for a little bit. Trying to tighten stuff up, so, all right?
You feel a little bit better? Okay.
Good for you. Yeah.
You're okay.
All right, so that's clip one there. Scott Duffey, do you agree with Phil that these are real bodily biological reactions to what's going on? She said at least twice that there's a lot of blood in there.
Yeah, totally agree. That you can plan everything. It is, it's surreal, it's movie-like, it's script-like. And then, of course, when you see it, it's a totally different experience. So I could see. That's why I like the fact that the officer's just talking to her, getting her to talk, getting statements that she otherwise might not be saying. And in that confusion, she could be saying things that when you go back and say, aha, something was said, and could be helpful to us. And then the initial, what she did, how she did it, and then as she gets to be interviewed more formally by the detectives, if that story's changing from the initial onset, which is okay, because it's a traumatic event and whatnot. There will be some changes, but are they opposed to each other or whatnot? So it's nice to see that she's providing all this information, that officer's dedicated to her, as opposed to just having nothing on tape and just let her sit in the back of a car or something like that.
Yeah. By the way, there's two other shorter clips we're going to watch, and then we're going to do some true crime stories of the week. And Scott and Phil have to be out of here in a little under 19 minutes, which we will get it all done, believe it or not. Flora Paris, good to see you back here. Phil Waters, I was getting nervous for these people knowing that you were watching this, because there are people just walking in and out of this house. Now, you're, I think you take charge of your crime scenes. What would you, if you were on scene here, would anybody be walking in or out of that house as lackadaisically as it appeared that these people were walking in and out? One of them who walked out is the accused killer.
Well, what you have to remember there, we're right there at the beginning of the call.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that happen. The officers have got her outside talking to her. There's some officers inside, and I guess that may be a paramedic that was inside there with him. And so in that sense, the scene is secure, and the people that are moving around in there need to be there. And I'm sure what's going to happen is once he's out of there, then the only thing you have left inside the home is the scene itself with her. People have to go in, paramedics have to go in and check her and see if there's any possible way to save her. If there had been, they would have loaded her up. But I would imagine the paramedics walked in there, she's dead. The other guy is dead. And so that's it. They're not going to go in there and disturb that scene as much as keep it intact as much as possible. And then I'm sure they will rope off the scene. They'll flag it, put the tape around it, crime scene tape. And at some point in time, once they have determined kind of what has happened, I know in Houston, once that is determined by the primary officer, they make a phone call to Homicide. The intake desk answers that call, and they're told what they have. And then the next pair that's up makes the scene. So, and then the crime scene unit, of course, has already been requested. So, what we're seeing here is just the beginning of a long process.
Yeah, as far as I know, there's one child who was 4 years old back in 2023. This is the next clip. By the way, they claim self-defense, but it also turns out that she and he, the au pair and the husband, were practicing shooting at a gun range, perhaps another clue prior to the killings. But here we go. Here's clip number 2.
I'm just sort of.
She's okay. Okay, let's go see. Make sure she's okay. Okay. She's down here with Officer Batani. She's safe. Okay.
I'm just dizzy.
Does anyone have a bottle of water we can get her?
I have orange juice in my car. I was drinking a little bit of it. She's my drink after me. I might.
Okay.
Where's
I last saw her up here on the curb. I'm not sure where she went. We'll find her, okay? She's okay. She's safe. She's not hurt. Okay?
Where's Brendan, her dad?
ALT. You know, be there.
Yeah, I know. Do you want me?
Where's Brendan?
Where do you want me to take her?
Just bring up one of the cruisers. I know Brendan's one of them.
Okay.
Somewhere she can just sit down.
Yeah. Take a breath. Do you want to sit in this red car right here?
I want to.
Okay. I'm gonna try to find. I'm not sure what car you're in.
I hit so many cars.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find. Okay, so you can check on her. Hey, do you know where Batani's car is?
Where's Brendan?
Brandon's sitting in one of these police cars. I'm sure they're giving him some water and trying to help him calm down a little bit. Here's some water.
I'm getting a whole place.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. There you go. There you go. Okay, you're okay. You're safe here.
Yeah.
We're gonna work through this. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay too.
I hope so. What about Christine?
She's gonna be okay too. Okay.
She
already went to the hospital.
That's the wife.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be okay.
Okay, she's going up to, I think she's going up to Reston Hospital. They're a very good trauma hospital, okay? They do this kind of thing all the time. Okay?
Okay.
You're okay. You're okay. You're safe here. All right? Okay. All right, let's go up here and let's see if we can find. Okay? Let's see if we can find. Just watch your step here, all right? You're okay.
I need to calm down.
Okay. We'll find. All right, you can give her a big hug. Okay. Hey, do we know where the little girl went?
Yes.
I last saw her with Batani.
There with Batani. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check with him. You're okay. Where was
terrible.
There she is. Okay. You can give her a big hug. I'll hold your water for us when we get up there. She's okay. I'll give you a minute to talk with her.
I don't know what to tell her.
You don't have to tell her anything, okay? You just give her a big hug, tell her she's okay?
Well, she's gonna ask what happened.
Okay. Well, you don't need to tell her just yet, okay?
Good.
You don't need to tell her anything.
Okay.
Okay? It's probably better if you don't. Okay? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I got your. Go ahead, give her a big hug, okay?
So is yours today, tonight? Wow.
That's the end of that clip. Phil Waters, the most devastating part of that clip is the very end. You hear this little 4-year-old's voice. Her mother no longer with us. Her father will undoubtedly be serving the rest of his life in prison. It's just hard to make sense of any of this. Your thoughts on this second clip here?
Well, we get a further explanation here. So the mother was transported.
Mm-hmm.
So that explains the comings and goings at the house.
Mm.
And it's heartbreaking. You watch her. I'm more convinced watching her. I mean, there's at one point in time there where she kind of raises her hand up, and it's still shaking. I think so. I'm curious as to where she was when the actual act unfolded. If she was just standing there, was she in the house with the girl? And then she walks into what has just happened. So I'm going to be real curious about her testimony as to where she was when this thing finally unfolded. And again, unless she's just a really good actress, I think she is in shock. I don't think she still at that point believes what she just saw. And it may have been explained to her what the plan was, but once it's carried out, I don't think she had a clue to what degree the violence was going to be shown in that room where it occurred. And she saw that, and I think that just she's totally freaked out. Now, to her credit, she's asking about the little girl, which leads me to believe that she may have been with the little girl. That was her role, was to keep her occupied.
So there was going to be an alibi that they were going to the zoo. She was taking the girl, and maybe Kimberly B knows a little more about this, but I don't know if she was actually on the way to the zoo with the girl, because they wanted the wife to be at home alone to meet this guy from the fetish site. So the zoo was the alibi for the au pair that she was taking. It was also a way to keep the wife home alone. And by the way,
that makes sense. And then she gets back to the house and walks in on it. So, but again, however she gets there, when she walked into that room, I think just based on her voice, her body language, facial expressions, everything that she's doing, that she walked into a freaking horror show that she had absolutely unprepared to see.
Flora Paris, I did say fetish site. You must have come in late, but glad to grab your attention. It is fetlife.com. Here we go. We got an answer here. She put the kiddo in the car. They never made it to the zoo. The au pair entered the house with the husband, and they left the kiddo in the basement for all of this. And by the way, the husband never went to work that day. He was staked out, Scott Duffey, at a McDonald's nearby. So he was, I think, waiting for a call from the au pair. And Ned Smith said, how on earth did this woman get time served? Again, I don't know that that's a finality. It's going to be based on the trial, I guess, but seems like she is more complicit in this, despite her, what Phil says are real reactions here. I think she's probably much more complicit than having.
Well, don't get mixed up. Don't get mixed up about her being complicit as to what she saw.
Okay.
Two separate things. It doesn't mean because she was complicit in what happened that when she walked in there, that's the first time she realized what was going to happen. So don't conflate those two things. It's two separate Two separate events.
Good point. Well taken. Whoever knew that McDonald's would play such a key role in true crime, but here we are. I always thought it was Home Depot. I always thought it was Home Depot and Walmart. This is the final clip. Gonna watch it real quick. We're gonna race through some stories and then say goodbye to Phil and Scott. So she's with the girl here.
You guys can sit together. Yeah, you want to get out of the wind? You guys can sit together. It's okay.
Yes, nothing is fine.
You guys can sit together. It's okay. Just so you're not out in the cold. We can just undo that. There you go. I know they're weird seatbelts, but you guys can sit together, okay?
Go there.
We leave a door open for you, okay? We leave a door open for you guys, or you want to shut it? I don't want you guys to get trapped in here, okay? Okay, you want some water?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay.
Okay, we're right here if you need anything. I'm going to give you a few minutes, okay? So what she told me was that she's the all pair. She lives. Oh, okay. I guess Brandon is the husband. Or the daughter. Yeah, she's the daughter of Brandon. I don't know who. I guess there's a wife and then there's someone else. So I guess she went for a walk and she came in. She said they went upstairs and someone was slapping someone else or slapping someone else. And then
And that's it. So now you've got the responding officers essentially trying to piece this together. Scott Duffey, I mean, how much do you rely on this nanny's account versus following the so-called trail of evidence here? I mean, you've got the soundproof windows, you've got them going to a gun range ahead of time. I mean, a lot of things just don't make any sense, or they make a whole lot of sense in terms of premeditation.
Yeah, I'm interested in the soundproof windows, and the reason is because if like just a part of me says, was there another plan? And then this became the plan to go with. And the reason why I asked that is, so if the police are supposed to arrive with EMS and so forth, then why worry about soundproof windows? Because there's going to be a shot and there's going to be a stabbing, and that's what you want the police to see, and that the two decedents stabbed and shot each other, right? Is it Brandon who's supposed to have shot? See, I'm a little confused on who did who, or at least what is the first set of stories that's being put together. So my thought is, why, if you want law enforcement there, as opposed to I'm going to shoot her, I don't want anybody to know, and then I'm going to quietly get rid of the body at another time, then maybe, I guess, the windows bothers me with this whole scenario. It just doesn't, it tells me something else might have been happening.
Yeah, if I might, Scott, I think that was to answer your curiosity about the police involvement, that kind of thing. The windows, this is the guy that's continuing to try to control the narrative. He's trying to control what happens there. He doesn't want a neighbor calling the police because they heard a gunshot. He wants to call the police at the time that he wants them there. I think that's and I have no idea, but just listening to what he had set up, and then that would be the only answer to me. Is he's trying to control the entire scene, and he wants to be the one to call the police because that's the time that he wants them. So
And I
And Phil
had,
Water. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
if I can, the one question that the police officer asked as she's walking, she asked, or rather, she asked about Christine, and he says she's going to be okay. I would probably want to keep seeing that, knowing that the evidence is leading back towards them. If Christine, in her mind, is alive, she's a witness, and so I would be very interested. She seemed to shut down. There was zero more inquiries on Christine, so it's that of course, knowing what we know now, as it's unfolding real time, it would mean nothing to me as a police officer, but that is interesting, that the police officer saying she's going to be fine. I would go back on that.
And we're gonna stay honest. I'm gonna be at this trial for the first bunch of days, however many days I can get away without my kids screaming too loudly. So follow us. It starts October 20th. I'll get up there for the first day for openings, which will probably be like a day or two later. Never heard about this crime till just now. Yeah, this is a biggie coming up. Phil Waters, on to some very quick true crime stories. Scott's got to go. Ty Sage. Phil Waters, I wondered if this has ever happened to you. Did you guys ever accidentally let a murderer out of jail? It happened to Ty Sage. He was mistakenly allowed to post bail. He was rearrested days later without incident, accused in the murder of a 15-year-old girl in Matoma County, which is Portland, Oregon, I believe. What would happen at the Houston PD? What would your chief of police do if someone was accidentally released on bail who is in for a first-degree murder of a 15-year-old girl?
well, the jail system in Harris County is maintained by the sheriff's office. So HPD, we have them. We used to have them for a period of 24 hours in a little city jail, and then they're transferred. So at that point in time, when somebody would be released, whether it was by mistake or on purpose, a clerical error, yeah, that's happened. Sure. I mean, that's unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast. You got people that sometimes make a mistake or hit the wrong tab on a keyboard, and these things happen. I'm not saying it's good. That's just real life. And of course, you try to minimize that from happening. And then when it does happen, you've got to find a solution to that problem if it looks like it's something that's inherently wrong within the system or the people operating it.
Scott Duffey, I might get canceled for the comment I'm about to make, but in response to Karen Altschwager's comment, Joel, I think you should stay home with the kids and let the wife go away to the next trial. I will agree to that if we get an au pair. Just to take the kids to school. Just to take the kids to school. I don't think she's going to go for. No, I'll let the COE go. Yeah, let's do it. Let's switch up trials. Scott Duffey, some people, I don't know, might agree with this guy, but this is a country that is full of laws. A California man, he's accused of killing a 71-year-old man, but this man was a registered sex offender, 71, and the guy who killed him said it was, and I quote here, really fun. Varun Suresh, 29, is now facing multiple charges, including murder, residential burglary, and armed individual causing great bodily injury. This has happened in Fremont, California. He tracked down a guy named David Bremer after finding his name, photo, and address while searching an online registry of sex offenders. Scott Duffey, why is it not okay to just go out and murder registered sex offenders? But that is a problem, I guess. That they have to list them with their face and their address. So they're basically, these people are doxxed. I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's I think that if I remember, as this law became part of our society with registration, that was one of the items that came up. Hey, we're putting targets on these people. So yeah, it's just listen, anybody's address is out there, so there's always somebody who could have a target on their back for anything. So it's just another reality to our sad society.
2 more minutes, we're done. Phil Waters, I'm just curious, in this particular case, he killed his wife. This seems to, how often does this? We live in the most violent country. I got to get out of this country pretty soon. He killed his wife, and then he waited for her beside her, covered in blood, until the police arrived. He happened to do it at a cemetery. Phil, have you ever responded to a murder scene that was already set up for you at the cemetery, Phil Waters? That was my question regarding this story.
No, I have not. I can't think of anything off the top of my head where we had a murder scene in a cemetery. There may have been one, but I don't recall that.
Yeah. My guess was that you were going to say no, and you in fact said no. Two more stories. Joanna Page, if you guys know her, she's a famous actress. She was in she's a British actress. She was, I guess her biggest role was Love Actually. 20 years ago, Scott Duffey, she revealed, this is a way for you to provide a public service here. I was thinking we've got a lot of almost exclusively female audience here. On a podcast called 5 Brilliant Things. She's now 48 years old. She said that 20 years ago, 28, she was held hostage by a taxi driver who would not drive her back to her hotel for an hour and 30 minutes. She insisted that she strip naked before returning her to the hotel. What would you do? What would you advise a woman to do if this was the stipulation from, let's say, an Uber driver or a cab driver, and he said, I'm not taking you back unless you strip naked? Guys really have a lot of serious problems, Scott Duffey, but I'm embarrassed to be one. What do you do, Scott Duffey? What is your advice?
I mean, fight. Get out of the car, do whatever it is, whatever you have. You're in the back of the car, I imagine. So it's the debating, the arguing stops, and the fight for your life. Look at it as a fight for your life, and do whatever it is. Claw his eyes out, grab him wherever you can. It's a fight for life. That's what it is.
And then give him a bad rating on the app.
Do what? Oh, a bad app. You give them 1 star. 100% give them 1 star. Imagine giving them 5 stars. Like, you like the service, but this next story, it's just a guy. He was dating a new girl, and the girl said, you can't really date me unless you prove your love. So he went and shot his previous girlfriend. There's a lot of dumb idiots out there, I guess. Last but not least, Tony Hawk. You know who he is? Phil Waters, the famous skateboarder.
Skateboard guy, yeah.
Yeah, well, his
advertised for turmeric.
Correct. And
which I used, by the way.
Yeah, he used he used a skateboard to do the first ever 900 trick, which is a 2.5 turn trick. Few skateboarders even dare to try. He was the first to do it at the 1999 San Francisco X Games, and now his skateboard has been auctioned off. What would you pay for a skateboard, Phil Waters, who appears to have frozen right now at the absolute worst time? Scott Duffey, you look more like a skateboarder than Phil. What would you pay for a skateboard?
So, right, the greatest skateboarder we have, it is the first that's used in a trick that's never been done before. What would I pay as opposed to what do I think it went for?
I love that Phil is so pensive right now.
Man, he's in deep
what would you pay, and what do you think was paid?
Well, what I would pay is definitely a lot different because I can only what I could afford. I'd give him $100.
$100. It was 1.15 million. It was 1.15 million, otherwise known as, let's round it up, 1.2 mil. That's an expensive skateboard. Scott Duffey, who are these people besides my neighbors in Miami who surround me who can afford $1.2 million for a skateboard? Who are these people?
Yeah, no, not these two people on screen.
If
maybe
you could,
Phil
if you could pay Phil Waters, would you ever? The answer was $1.2 million for the skateboard. What's the most you would pay for? What's the most you pay for a Ferrari, Phil Waters?
Whatever I can afford. I mean, I've certainly I've seen some items that have gone for I think the the Ferrari facsimile that was used in Ferris Bueller, that 260, 280, it went for like 22 million. So I mean, there's ridiculous prices on Ferraris, certainly.
Young Black Economist says $1,000. I got to let these guys go because Scott's got a dinner. I always keep him too late. Scott Duffey, before we go, your final thoughts. Phil Waters gets final thoughts afterwards, and then we'll wrap it up.
First of all, I miss you, Joel and Phil. We've communicated throughout the summer, so I'm glad that we are back on a Friday. Fantastic summer. Went to Crime Con. I will say it is always humbling when you're just walking through a sea of thousands and people come out of the crowd and recognize me from your show, and always applauding the show. So to all those that have stopped me and we've taken pictures, said hello, thank you and hello.
Love it. I love it. We did not get to Crime Con, but I've already booked. You going this year, Scott Duffey? It's next year. It's 2026.
Las Vegas, all set.
Las Vegas. I booked a room. I don't know that I can go because it's my daughter's bat mitzvah, but we're going to cross that bridge. Phil Waters, you went to Alaska. You're in Hawaii. You have 2 Ferraris. You live a beautiful life. You have nice things. You deserve nice things. Yet you raise good children. You're a man of religion and God. Your final thoughts on this Friday. By the way, I am running off to the synagogue today to be a good religious man in my own right. Phil Waters, your final thoughts today.
Well, I'm wearing my Alaska Aloha shirt that I found up there. But no, I tell you what, it's great to be back with y'all. And I'm sorry that the CrimeCon thing is, at least for me, has, I guess, run its course. And so who knows? Maybe next year.
Who wants an STS CrimeCon next year instead of CrimeCon? Let's do an STS CrimeCon. Email me, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. The keynote speaker will be Phil and Scott.
Yeah, but yeah, things are good. I'm very blessed, and yeah, we're gonna spend our time. We've got a few weeks left here before we do our Texas season. And but work has been good, been busy with a lot of different kinds of cases. So that's always challenging. Writing a lot of reports and just trying to take care of my clients in the best way possible. So it's been kind of hectic, and
everyone wants to know.
The Nugget dog is right behind me, and she is laid out, enjoying the cool breeze, enjoying the trade wind.
When you get back on a plane this time around, why don't you slip Nugget in your front pocket and bring her along with you? I think she'd be happier.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, I told her that the other day. I said, you know what? It wouldn't take much. We could just get her right on there.
What's your neighbor going to do? He's going to end up staring down the barrel of a Colt 45 if he tries it.
Well, I'm not going to do that to our neighbor. They're already exhibiting much angst every time we show up, and Nugget spends more time here than she does down there, and we don't even feed her, which is really funny. So
it'd be amazing if this neighbor watched Survive the Survivor every Friday. Just 'cause they couldn't say
well, you know, they're her owners. We are her family.
I love it.
We are her Ohana here on the Big Island.
There we go. Love you all. Find your Ohana. We'll see you soon. Great to see you. We'll be back next week. More of the au pair story to come.